And these are so important. Sustain, steward, harmony, beauty, fragile, nurture, balance, protect. And I believe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those words you heard at the UN?
Yes.
Okay. And I think it's important to point out that this is in process. This piece with the words on it is going to be cut. And so I'm talking to the artist and the astronaut, both of whom are working on this. And this piece will change because it will not be just on the paper anymore.
Right.
It will be cut in similar fashion to the one before it.
Mm-hmm.
Raindrops keep falling on my soul. Okay.
I also have a series in the exhibit that is titled The Source of Their Words. And in this, I did not bring an image, I'm sorry, of it, but I create a round globe on the paper in which I use all of the letters that are in all of the words, but they're all jumbled up so that they create an image of, which for me is an abstraction of the earth. And then surrounded by this is a very developed drawing of branches, roots, sections of trees.
So repetition of the theme, if you will, in the sculpture.
Yes.
The twig and then
Yes.
branches. And to see this on television and to see this in flat photographs is not to experience it the way one would experience it if you were there looking at the installation and seeing the three-dimensional pieces, the two-dimensional pieces.
No,
Now-
that's very true. Once the work is finished, it becomes very important for it to be seen by other people. As an artist, I feel my personal role, and there are many roles that an artist plays in creating their work, but my personal role is one of communication. It's very important for me to be able to communicate from the depths of my soul, those things that are important to me, in the hopes that if I mold these in physical materials and present them, that there will be people who can look at them and understand and feel the same way, whose lives may be enlarged or whose understanding may be increased because they've had an opportunity to view the work.
And you said earlier that the installation, that any work of art of yours, but this particular work of art, you will feel is successful as soon as the first person responds to what he or she sees, takes in, thinks. That's one of the functions of art, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, that some of the responses are a surprise.
Always.
Some people will ask Pat, well, what did you mean when you put this way? And Pat will say, well, it's not so important what I meant, it's more important how you respond. So how does it make you feel?
What do you take from it?
What do you take
Yeah.
from it?
Yeah.
And she frequently can nonplus a viewer very quickly that way.
You have a two-dimensional piece here that's matted and framed.
Yeah, I wanted-
and we're hoping that this is going to show nicely.
I wanted you to
It does show nicely.
see.
It's fine.
And the
You want
viewers.
to talk about it?
This is again another form of work on paper that will be in the exhibit. I have 15 of these that I've created, and
Now, are they all alike or are they different?
they're all different.
Okay.
Well, they're similar but different.
Okay, all right.
They're all the same size sheet of paper, 6 by 12 inches, which is also the size of the original piece of slate. On this, I have made the same drip, and I have also finished it with the beeswax.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to that, I added the wooden sticks in a little form that looks maybe like it might be a strange alphabet. for me, it's music. I call the pieces rain songs 1 through 15.
All right, so all of the 15 have one title.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to see this work in process, and I think it's fascinating to see artist studios, you can see Pat and Jerry's work in process during Open Studio Weekend. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Our studio, along with about 250 other artists in Vermont, will be open Memorial Day weekend, the 29th and 30th of May, from 10 until 5, and we will be there to show people the work. The work will be on exhibit, and we are also going to let them see Jerry's metal shop and how he works.
Will you be doing anything in the metal shop?
Probably.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, you'll be showing people. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
And then 2 or 3 times during the day, we intend to give us a mini lecture to talk about, as much as we have talked today, about the source of the exhibit, the inspiration for it, and the United Nations bit, and we hope that we'll get many people from the southern Vermont area to come
because
and visit
this
us.
obviously is a subject that we all need to think about more, be conversant with, talk to each other more about.
It's amazing how many people from other states around Vermont come to Vermont during that particular weekend and have been doing so for years.
That's great, because
in order
Open
to-
Studio, I think the word has spread. It's been going on
Yes.
for how many years, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but very much aware of it.
Those people who are interested need to get a map.
Right.
And the map can be acquired online by Googling Vermont Crafts Council. And they're also, for 2 or 3 weeks before, early in May, you'll find them in many stores, restaurants, hotels.
Art centers.
And art
Yeah.
centers, yeah.
Yes.
They can be found. We are one of 2 in the Arlington-Sunderland area, two
Okay, and
studios.
we can mention CAMUS, CAMUS Incorporated Studio is the name
Yes.
of your studio.
That's right.
In Sunderland. Is
That's
this
our
out in the
business.
country?
It's actually, it's under Highway 7 going to Bennington.
Right on the
Under.
off-ramp, southbound off-ramp.
Okay.
We look up and we can see the highway, that's why I say under.
We can hear the trucks jack-braking.
Okay. You live in Manchester Center, but your studio is in Sunderland.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We were very lucky to find a wonderful building and
Yeah, because to do the work you do, you need space.
we not only needed space, but we needed ground level so delivery trucks could enter, and we could also, we have a set of 35 crates of art that we ship, and we need to load that on our truck and take it to UPS or whatever.
So I get to have some toys. I've got a forklift that I like to play with.
Oh, a big Tonka toy.
Right.
We've talked about our fragile home. Is there anything else that you want to say about that particular work of art that you are creating right
yes,
now?
Yes, we could talk a little bit about marketing, because not many people think about that process in the process of creating art. It's one thing to work on the inspiration, let it gestate, finally get the piece going and built and ready to be seen. But unless you have someone who wants to show it, like a museum or an art gallery, it's probably not going to be seen. And that's partly my job, but mostly Jerry's job.
Yeah, Pat's job is to pour through the various art magazines and and find a gallery or a museum that she thinks she'd really like to be in.
Okay.
Then
Well,
she,
you've done that before. I mean,
Yes.
seems to me it's worth mentioning. I first discovered you at the Sculpture Garden in Hamilton, New Jersey,
yes.
which is an absolutely delightful place. You have sculptures in various other places. Do you want to talk about that briefly? We have about 4 minutes left.
Once she decides which one she wants to approach, then it's up to me to make a telephone call and try to get a hold of the curator or the director and ask them if they will look at some of her work. And I have to give them a big spiel about how she's a bigwig in the central part of the U.S. and how she's getting established here in the Northeast.
Okay.
And if I finally inveigle them into accepting a portfolio or some images, then it's up to Pat to get on the computer and get the images pulled together and shipped off. And that's the way that we got the one in Hamilton to accept Pat, was just to, and we had to be persistent. That's another thing that an artist must be, is they have to be persistent in your marketing in terms of getting your work seen in museums and that sort of thing.
He does a good job.
I am sure.
I have 90 pieces of sculpture in over 50 museum and public spaces across the country.
That's what I wanted to bring out. I mean, you
really
are
fortunate.
accomplished. You have been doing this for years and years. And what next?
Well, we have been, I think, very blessed by a commission from the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Northwest Arkansas, which is a museum under construction right now. The opening will be in 2012. And they have invited us to create a sculpture. They set the theme for us. They wanted something, because they had seen another piece of mine that related to the Trail of Tears. They wanted something that would address that issue. The Trail of Tears passed very close to their property.
All right, and the Trail of Tears was, for anybody who doesn't know,
it was the removal of 5 American Indian tribes from the East Coast, the forced removal,
right,
from the East Coast to Western territories, particularly Oklahoma, in the 1830s, which was a very tragic period in our American history.
A sad piece of our American history.
So they asked,
ethnic cleansing.
Yes.
They asked us to design a piece, and which was then juried by the founder of the museum and the curator and director, and accepted 4 months ago, and we will be constructing that in April and May of this spring.
And what will that be? What will represent?
Well, the image that you have on
and I'm not sure
board
that's being
is
picked up, so just there it is, right there.
An image of the
not sure
model
that shows
of the
well.
piece. This area is the
1 minute.
This area is very wooded. It has a stream bed. The sculpture is 65 feet long and is composed of how
34.
many? 34 stone columns.
They're made of Arkansas sandstone that's being quarried right near this place, and each one weighs about a ton.
So we'll have a construction company, heavy lifting equipment, to help us dig the holes and, and lift the stones.
It represents a procession of family, large, medium, and small little monoliths, little columns of people processing through the forest and down and across the little
Well, that's
creek.
what I saw when I saw the image that you gave me.
They crossed many, many streams and rivers, including the Mississippi, on foot. And so I wanted a stream definitely in my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Pat Musick and Jerry Carr, the artist in The Astronaut, for being here today and telling us about your current project in process about Open Studio Weekend at CAMUS Incorporated Studio on May 29th and 30th, 10 to 5, and about what's coming up at Crystal Bridges. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.